What if I told you that the thing you think is making you learn faster is actually the thing holding you back? Here's what actually predicts your career growth. Learning speed. Not intelligence, not credentials, speed of learning. And the people who master this do some counterintuitive things. Speed isn't a talent, it's a system. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build this system. My name is Steve Huynh, but you can call me Uncle Steve. I was a principal engineer at Amazon, where I spent nearly 2 decades. And over my career, I learned more than 20 programming languages, ramped up on countless systems and frameworks I knew absolutely nothing about, and moved between teams working on completely different problems, from books to payments to video streaming. People would always ask me, how do you get up to speed so fast? Here's what I realized. Most people think that learning faster means working harder or hitting the books for more hours. That's completely wrong. Learning faster is about having the right system. And that system comes down to 4 key principles that we'll go over in today's video. If you like this type of content and you want some more career advice, hit that like and subscribe button. Helps me know that I'm creating stuff that people actually want. And if there's a topic that you want me to cover, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If you want more from me, subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. And if you want to just chat, join my Discord. Links for everything are in the description. The first principle to master is the meta skill of learning how to learn. Most people try to learn everything linearly. They start with the documentation, if it exists, from page 1 all the way through to the end. They memorize facts. They try to understand every single detail before moving forward. This is incredibly slow, and here's why. Not all knowledge is created equal. Over the years, I developed what I call the knowledge bucket system. There are 4 types of knowledge you'll encounter. I'll save the 4th one for later in the video, but the first one is facts, the things that you need inside of your working memory, like team names, core systems, key stakeholders. These you have to memorize. If you've got a mountain of documents, don't just aggregate them into a master document. Ask an LLM to summarize super aggressively. This way, your notes don't explode to like 300 pages of stuff. Next are procedures. This is the how to do X knowledge. These are SOPs, build processes, deployment steps. You don't learn these by reading. You learn them by doing with supervision. The best way to learn about the on-call rotation is to shadow the on-call, not by reading all of the SOPs. And then there's concepts. This is the game changer. Concepts are ideas and how those ideas relate to other ideas. This is where the real acceleration happens. Let me give you an example. Early in my career, I worked on Search Inside the Book at Amazon. I learned about Amazon's catalog system for books, how to uniquely identify items, manage metadata, handle different versions, and make information discoverable. Years later, I joined a team selling concert tickets. Completely different domain, right? Not really. The conceptual questions were identical. Should the artist be the core item, the tour, each show, each seat? How do we handle inventory? How does this map to Amazon's existing architecture? Then I moved to Prime Video. Different surface details. Now we were talking about video encodings instead of book scans, streaming rights instead of print editions, but the fundamental catalog concepts, they were exactly the same. You have vendor SKUs, data matching and merging, handling metadata errors, localization, and the impact of catalog structure on search. This is the secret. Conceptual understanding transfers across domains. All catalog systems, if you go up high enough, are fundamentally the same. All payment systems are the same. All distributed systems share core patterns, but have critical subtleties. When you focus on learning concepts instead of memorizing facts, you build a toolkit that works everywhere. You're not starting from zero every time you switch teams or projects. You're pattern matching, and that's an amazing head start when you're trying to ramp up. So here's what to do. When you're learning something new, focus on building a mental model. I like to draw it, literally. Put the most central concept in the middle of the page. Draw boxes for related ideas. Label the connections between them. Depends on, activates, is a type of. Keep it simple. If you have more than 12 boxes, you're in the weeds, not thinking conceptually enough. Group things into higher level abstractions, and here's the killer move. Once you have your mental model, show it to an expert. Say, here's my understanding of how everything works. They'll immediately spot what's wrong and fill in what you're missing. This is like 10 times faster than asking them to explain something from scratch. When you master this meta skill of learning concepts, not content, everything accelerates. You know what's interesting about all of this? The same principles that help you learn technical skills faster apply to your entire career. And here's the thing, you can't see your own blind spots. That's exactly why I'm excited to partner with today's sponsor, Strawberry.me. Look, career coaching isn't just for the executives or people in crisis. It's for anyone serious about growth who wants to stop guessing and start executing. Strawberry connects you with professional career coaches who help you get clarity on your next move, develop a strategic plan to actually get there, and most importantly, they keep you accountable so you don't just think about making changes, you actually do them. And here's what's cool. It's not therapy, it's consulting. It's action-oriented coaching focused on measurable results. Whether you're trying to get promoted, switch teams, or level up your leadership skills, a coach helps you see what you can't see on your own. Because here's the truth, top performers don't go it alone. They have coaches to guide them. The best investment you can make is in your career. Head to strawberry.me/alifeengineered to get matched with the coach. That's strawberry.me/alifeengineered. Link is in the description. Thanks again to Strawberry for sponsoring this video. Here's the second principle. Velocity beats perfection every single time. Most people wait to share their work until it's perfect. The design doc has to be flawless. The code has to be beautiful. The presentation has to be polished. This is killing your learning speed. At Amazon, I learned this lesson the hard way. When I was a senior engineer, I spent weeks perfecting a design document before sharing it broadly. I wanted every detail right, every edge case covered, every diagram perfected. Then I watched a principal engineer do the exact opposite. He'd write a rough draft in a few hours, barely more than an outline with some sketches, and immediately share it for feedback. It was ugly. Half of the section said TBD. Some diagrams were literally boxes with question marks. But here's what happened. He got feedback immediately. People pointed out what was missing. They challenged his assumptions. They suggested better approaches. By the time I was still polishing my first draft, he was already on version 3, and it was better than anything I could have produced alone. That's when I understood. Version 0.1 that gets feedback beats version 1.0 that's perfect. But most people spend months trying to make the first version perfect instead of realizing that the 50th will be the best. So here's the move. When you're learning something new, create fast feedback loops. Don't wait till you fully understand it to test your understanding. If I'm learning a new code base, I don't read it for weeks. I make a small change and see what breaks. I write a test and see what happens. I ask someone to review my understanding after just a few hours, not a few weeks. This is how you learn 10x faster. Every iteration teaches you something. Every piece of feedback corrects your mental model. And the speed of iteration matters way more than the quality of your first attempt. In technical work, this means ship the MVP, get the code review out early, share the half-baked design doc, present your rough understanding, and let people correct you. Reality is your ultimate teacher, but you can't learn from reality if you're still perfecting it in isolation. Here's the third principle. Constraint is your best teacher. Here's something super counterintuitive. The less time you give yourself to learn something, the faster you actually learn it. Most people think they need more time to learn. If I just had another month, I could really understand this. But what actually happens? Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time available. Give yourself 3 months to learn something, and you'll spend 3 months. Give yourself 2 weeks, and you'll somehow get it done in 2 weeks. At Amazon, I saw this play out constantly with the on-call rotation. Most teams had extensive playbooks and documentation for handling production issues. New engineers would say, I need like 6 months to read through everything before I can go on call. But the engineers who ramped up the fastest, they joined the on-call rotation early with supervision. They'd shadow somebody for a week, then become the secondary on-call, only paged if the primary couldn't handle it. Were they fully prepared? No. Did they know everything? Absolutely not. But that constraint, the real possibility of getting paged, forced them to learn what actually mattered. They didn't waste time on documentation about issues that hadn't happened in 3 years. They focused on the common problems. They learned the critical systems. They built their mental model through real incidents, not theoretical reading. Here's what I do now. Whenever I'm learning something new, I cut the timelines in half. If I think it'll take 4 weeks, I give myself 2. If I think it'll take 8 hours, I give myself 4. This forces ruthless prioritization. You stop polishing things that don't matter. You focus only on what moves the needle. You make decisions faster. And ironically, you often produce better work because you're not overthinking it. Here's another form of constraint. Take on work that's just beyond your current ability. The fastest way to grow is to volunteer for projects that scare you a little bit. If you're a mid-level engineer, take on work that's typically given to seniors. If you're comfortable with your current stack, volunteer for a project using technologies that you don't know yet. This requires one critical thing though. You need support. You can't drown. You need someone you can ask questions of, someone who can course correct if you're going way off track. But with that safety net in place, constraint becomes your accelerator. Don't wait until you feel ready. Cut your learning timelines in half. Volunteer for the slightly too hard project. Join the on-call rotation early. Apply for the job before you meet all of the qualifications. Constraint doesn't create stress, it creates clarity. Because when you have less time, you figure out what actually matters fast. Here's the fourth and final principle. Your questions define your frontier. Questions are the fourth bucket of knowledge. Most people think they're done learning when they stop having questions. That's backwards. The quality of your questions is actually the best indicator of how much you've learned. When I'm ramping up on something new, I keep a running list of questions. Not just questions I need answered, every question that pops into my head, even the ones that feel obvious or dumb. Questions have built-in assumptions. When you ask a question, you're revealing what you already know and what you don't. Early questions sound like, what does this system do? Who owns this? What's the deployment process? As you learn more, your questions evolve. Why did we choose this architecture over alternatives? What happens if this component fails? How does this handle the edge case where? And eventually, you hit this moment. You ask a question, and the domain expert says, that's a great question. We're actually trying to figure that out too. That's when you know you've arrived. Your question now matches the open question that experts are grappling with. You're no longer learning the basics, you're at the frontier of what the team knows. I track this deliberately. I keep a questions document with 4 sections. Questions I can answer myself, questions I need to research, questions I need to ask someone, and questions nobody knows the answer to yet. As I learn, questions migrate down the list. When I start populating that last section, questions nobody knows, I know I'm up to speed. Here's another reason why this matters. Questions create a breadcrumb trail of your learning. When someone new joins after you, you can walk them through your question list. It's like showing them the map of the territory. If you need to write a document or give a presentation, your questions become your outline. You can use the Socratic method. Bring people along through the questions that you asked, not just the answers that you found. The pro move is to keep a questions document. Never delete questions, you just mark them as answered, but you keep them visible. When you get time with an expert, don't just ask them to explain things, share your understanding and ask them to correct it. Here's what I think is happening. Is this right? What am I missing? Your questions aren't a sign that you're slow. They're a map of your progress. And when your questions start matching the expert's questions, you've made it. If you found this helpful, check out my video on nobody cares how hard you work. Turns out, people don't care about that. They care about something else. Once you know what that is, only then can you reap the reward for working hard. Take a look.